Imagine a scorching summer day, you're parched, and you take a refreshing gulp of water. Now, have you ever wondered what would happen if we poured water on the sun? We all know the sun is a massive ball of heat and light, its surface sizzling at 5,000 degrees Celsius. It's a wild thought, isn't it, pouring water on such a fiery inferno? Could it quench the sun's thirst, or would it just intensify the blaze? Could we cool it down, or would we simply add fuel to the fire? Let's delve into this fascinating theory. To start with, we need to understand the scale of the sun in comparison to Earth. Picture a basketball. Now imagine a tiny mustard seed next to it. That's roughly the size difference between the sun and our home. The sun is about 1 million times the volume of Earth. Now let's talk water. Earth's water content is vast, covering around 70% of its surface, but when we compare it to the sun, it's like comparing a raindrop to a swimming pool. Even if we took every drop of water from Earth, from every ocean, lake, river, glacier, and underground reservoir, we'd still have less than 1/10 of the sun's mass. So we're talking about a literal drop in the ocean here, but let's continue with our thought experiment. What would happen if we could somehow transport all that water to the sun? Stay tuned. Now let's imagine we have an infinite amount of water and we start pouring it on the sun. What would happen? You see, the sun is essentially a gigantic nuclear reactor in the sky, powered by an incredible process called nuclear fusion. In the heart of the sun, hydrogen atoms combine to form helium, releasing a tremendous amount of energy in the process. Now imagine we introduce a flood of water into this equation. Water, or H2O, is made up of hydrogen and oxygen, elements that could in theory fuel the sun's fusion process. But here's the catch. The introduction of water would actually disrupt this delicate balance. Firstly, the water would instantly vaporize due to the sun's intense heat, separating into hydrogen and oxygen atoms. This sudden influx of additional fuel could cause the sun's fusion process to accelerate rapidly, leading to a dramatic increase in energy output. But that's not all. The oxygen atoms would also play a part in this cosmic drama. Oxygen, being a heavier element, would sink towards the sun's core, disrupting the delicate balance of the fusion process. This could lead to a massive explosion, far from the cooling effect you might expect from pouring water on a fire. So pouring water on the sun would not quench its fiery thirst, but rather create a cosmic explosion. But what if we could somehow transport all of Earth's water to the sun? Ignoring the insurmountable logistics, let's consider the scenario where we could transport all Earth's water to the sun. Now this is where things start to get really interesting, and by interesting I mean utterly catastrophic. Firstly, we'd be removing the lifeblood of our planet. Water is vital for all living things. It's the key component of life as we know it. Without it, all life on Earth would cease to exist. We'd essentially be trading a scorching sun for a dead planet. Secondly, our planet's climate is intricately connected to its water cycle. No water means no rain, no snow, no clouds, no ice caps. The Earth would become a dry, desolate desert, its climate thrown into chaos. And what about the oceans, the rivers, the lakes? They'd all be gone. Our beautiful blue planet would become a barren, lifeless rock. So, not only would our attempt to cool down the sun result in a cataclysmic explosion, but it would also leave Earth a barren wasteland. Not quite the outcome we were hoping for, right? So, what's the verdict? What would happen if we poured water on the sun? Well, let's recap the highlights. We've talked about the sun's colossal size, dwarfing the Earth by over 1 million times. We've touched on the nuclear fusion that powers it, a process so intense and hot that it makes our largest nuclear bombs look like sparklers on the 4th of July. We also delved into the sheer impossibility of transporting enough water from our blue planet to douse the sun's raging flames. It would be like trying to fill the Grand Canyon with a teaspoon. And let's not forget the consequences for Earth if we somehow managed to drain all our water. It would turn our lush, life-sustaining home into a barren, lifeless rock. In conclusion, while it's a fascinating thought experiment, pouring water on the sun would be both impossible and catastrophic. So let's leave the sun to its fiery business and save our water for our parched throats on those hot summer days.